Oh, oh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mary D Show. I am your host. My name is Mary D. Welch, and I'm so happy that you're here. Another beautiful Monday. What can I say? These Mondays are just gorgeous. It's another beautiful Monday, but we're actually a few days away from a storm coming through Southern Cal. So right now, the sun is shining. It's about, I say, probably like 70 something, but it's not too cold, not too hot. Pretty nice day. So, welcome. I'd like to also, before I even get started with the show, for those of you that will, go to YouTube and subscribe. I was told that the subscriptions, when you subscribe and like or comment, all of that encourages the logarithms for YouTube, everything to show it to more people. So when you do that, it does make a difference. I'd like to thank our sponsors for today, as we have sponsors for today's show. They are, if you need travel insurance, you can go to First Fridays Travel and you can order your travel insurance there. If you're buying and selling a house, you go to the Henderson Real Estate Team .info. The Henderson Real Estate Team .info. If you are writing your first book, now this is, guys, you know how this is close to my heart. If you're writing your first book, ladies and gentlemen, let me just keep you and give you some hints. You may say, well, I don't know how to write a book, and go to First Book Academy and you can learn. Here's some of the books. This one, Have You Seen a Red Elephant? Somebody were telling me, I think I need to pull it back. There, I think that's better because there was a glare on it. Have You Seen a Red Elephant? This is a children's book. Now, those of you that say, well, I don't know what to write about, that's why you want to go to First Book Academy and you'll look at that. Here's a book for adults, Say No Nicely. So you can see that. And this is teaching you how to say no. And I say that because you have to say it in such a way. Saying no there is an art to say no. So saying no nicely. And these are two journals. And if you notice, I use, well, you can see in the back where I've been writing and everything in there. But this is a journal. It's a series called the Big Black Journal. This is for sisters, and this is the honestly, between the two, it's interesting. The most popular one is this one. I know, but this is more general. So, but it's still, this one tends to be people use it for gifts, everything, and women like this one for their actual sisters or sister friends. So they like that one. But now, I also want to tell you one other sponsor for today's show, and that is the Idea Club. Now, the Idea Club, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in an LLC, which is called a limited liability corporation, if you're interested in a nonprofit, if you're interested in a C Corp or S Corp, you can go to theideaclub.com. The president is Dumas Martin Jr. And I can tell you right now, it's not anything to deal with those things I just mentioned, he can help you with. That's nonprofits, LLC, S Corp, C Corp. You want to talk to Dumas Martin Jr. And last but not least, we have the Sutton Insurance. It was here last week. They're now a sponsor. So you can go to Sutton Insurance. And I have the card, but I'll make sure I put it up for you later on in the show. Now, our special guest for today. Just get ready. This is a powerhouse lady. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies. I always have my guests in their bios. I was reading her bio and I was just so full and so proud of this lady. I'm so proud because I cannot imagine what she had to go through. I can't imagine to be in the position. But I'm going to read you this is literally a little bit. This is not even, it's just a taste of who she is, but she's going to tell you more about herself. Her name is Emeline King. In 25 years, she's conquered what many people never do in a lifetime. Featured in a variety of news, radio, television ads, including Ebony, Essence, and the Washington Post, Emeline was the poster child of the Ford Motor Company, designing cars for the auto industry. Think about that. The cars that we drive. And somebody designed the thing. I know we don't always realize that, but somebody had to. This designer, author, motivational speaker, songstress, musician, is the owner of King Enterprises LLC. She's grateful for her many gifts and talents. And I like to welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, I like to welcome to our show Miss Emeline King. Emeline, let me have you come on in. You coming in? Here we come. Emeline, there she is. Welcome.
Hello.
How? Oh, Garth said hello.
Hi, Garth. My classmate.
No, hi Garth. I tell you, he has been. Oh, you're talking about somebody proud.
Oh, my.
He is so proud. I can tell you that right now. Well, Emily, why don't you tell us, as I can tell, your beginnings, just your beginnings. Where did they start? Did it start right there in Detroit, or did you move from another part of the country to Detroit? How did it all start?
I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, Motor
Okay.
City.
Hmm.
And how it all started, I give a lot of um, recognition to my father because I must have been about 11 and he introduced me to the world of cars. Usually on Saturdays, I would go to studio. There was a black sculptor by the name of Mr. Oscar Graves. And in his studio, I got a chance to get familiarized with some sculptures and
Hmm.
also the smell of clay. And this stayed with me. So every year, my father, he worked for a Ford Motor Company and he was a fabrication specialist. So he was responsible of making the vehicles into like plaster models,
Okay.
fiberglass models. So every
Hmm.
year they would have a Christmas party at Ford. And my father would take me around to this one particular area and they had some blue doors and behind the blue doors I kept smelling clay and I wanted to get behind those doors. But my
Oh.
father told me, no, you can't go behind the door because behind those doors are men who design cars. And they have clay models behind there. So that's what you're smelling. So you would have to be
Mm.
you would have to be a transportation designer. You would have to be an employee of Ford if you want to work there. And
Right.
my father's studio was nearby. So from that day forward, I just promised myself that one, I was going to be a transportation designer. Two,
Uh-huh.
I was going to work there at Ford. And three, I was going to design cars with my father.
That day.
That day, I must have been about 11. And I made that promise.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
because what was it? It was okay. You remember that smell of clay, but
Hmm.
what was it because he said there were men behind those doors? He never said it was women.
He never mentioned women. He just said there were men. He said there's men. But that just flew off my head. Only thing I'm thinking about is transportation design. I didn't even, it didn't even dawn on me. But
Uh-huh.
the thing that happened is during school, I
Uh-huh.
was like in grade school,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of times they would have show and tell. And so I would tell my classmates and I'd tell my teacher, who was a male
Mhm.
teacher, that when I grow up, I'm going to be a car designer. I'm going to work there at Ford, design cars with my father. And my male teachers would tell me, no, Emeline, girls cannot draw cars. You take these little hands and you either can become a good nurse, a librarian, or make a good wife. But as far as
Oh my
designing cars,
gosh.
girls can't design cars. But little did they know that my father had a big influence about introducing me to the world of car design. So
Well, yeah. You know what it is? Sounds like your dad was he was planting that seed in
he was
you,
planting that seed.
and he's saying they may, it may not be women here now, but that doesn't mean it can't be women in the future, really.
Right. Definitely.
Oh, I love it. I love because I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I've never met a car designer. Let me just say that. But except for Garth. Garth is the only one that I've ever met that was in that
Okay.
field, and another male. But to meet someone, a female in
Yeah.
that field and design cars. Before we go on, we want to say hi. We have some guests here. We have Gwendolyn. Hi, Gwendolyn. I didn't know she
Hello,
said
Gwendolyn.
hi. And
Oh,
we also have Charles. Hi, Charles.
hello, Charles.
So I just want these. I'm gonna tell you, I have been blessed. I have people that they're here every Monday at 1 o'clock, and they are. And so Garth, Gwendolyn, Charles,
Oh,
every Monday.
wow. Yeah,
So
Garth and I went to the same school, art center. And that was a very, very prestigious school for transportation designers. And I didn't
Wow.
hear about it until it was like um, after I graduated from Wayne State University and also went to Cass Technical High School. I had my portfolio and I went to Ford to interview. But at that time, they were not, the economy was down and they weren't hiring and they didn't
Mhm.
believe the designs that I drew came out of my head. So, and it so happened that on that job interview, my father was there. So my father never had a problem approaching anyone. I don't care what their status was. So he set up a interview with the president of design, Mr. Jack Talnett. We were in his office, and my father had asked him, what school did he go to? Because
Uh-huh.
Jack had told me that at that time they weren't hiring. And so Mr. Jack Talnett recommended that I go to Art Center. But it wasn't easy getting in an art center because at that time my portfolio was like a 30 by 40 and they were only accepting 18 by 24, but they hadn't
Oh,
even seen my work. And when my
oh,
father had called to set up an appointment to get me to interview into the school, first thing that came out their mouths were, oh, it's no way that she can come to the school or get it admitted. They hadn't even seen my work. So my father flew me out there. And when they saw my portfolio, they accepted me right then.
oh my,
Even so, they gave me advanced standing. So I
you're
finished it
kidding.
in 18 months.
Oh my gosh. But
Yeah.
then that's because, like you said, they had not seen your, all they heard was that you were a female. That's it.
That. And they
Oh,
had, like I said, they hadn't even seen my work. But I made a promise to the president that when I just knew one day that the economy was going to get right
right,
and
right.
that I wanted to work for Ford. And I promised the president that I would like to be interviewed by him on the day that when I graduate. And I held that promise because during the time of graduation, when they were sending everybody out from the different car companies to review our portfolio, I had my father to fly me back to Detroit. My instructors at Art Center were very upset. They almost said, well, Emily, you blew it. But I told him, I said, I made a promise to the president that I
Right.
wanted him to interview me. So I flew back there. I got hired in, then came back for graduation.
So the promise was kept.
The promise was kept. It
Oh
was
my
kept.
goodness. Oh, that's wonderful. I know too. We have another one of our fans here. They come to the show and thank you. And this is Richard Nichols. Hi, Richard. He comes every and he has his own another show, but he still supports, and I can't
Oh,
thank him enough.
wonderful.
It is. So thank you for coming by. And I did want to take a moment too. I know this interview is very important. Unfortunately, we had a loss in our community. This
Oh,
lady who has been, she was on the school board. Some of you may have already known. She passed away last
hmm.
night, and her name is Dr. Margaret Hill. And I did want to take a moment to acknowledge her, just to give
Yes.
that acknowledgement. So, Dr. Hill, just so
Yes.
you know
My
that we
condolences.
thank you, thank you, thank you. But I do want to go on to and tell you that I'm just listening to you. I'm like this, going
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I have some
because you
stories.
know,
And
yeah.
I was very, very blessed at Ford because I think after I was hired in less than a year, they were sending me off on foreign service assignment to Turin, Italy. I had never been out the country before. So I had to design cars over in Italy. Then I came
Oh,
back. Then they sent me to England, then to Germany. So I've had a chance to travel. But the neat thing, the exciting thing, all during grade school, I was just fascinated about art history. And I also, during that time when I would go over to the studio with Mr. Gray, we would
uh-huh.
have conversations and he would tell me, Emily, you have to get to Europe. You have to be indoctrinated with the sculptures and the art. Little
Oh,
did I know, little did I know that years down the
yeah.
road,
Mhm.
through my job through Ford, that I
Oh.
actually got a chance to go over and design cars in Europe.
Now, when you were, like you said, he was saying indoctrinating to what's going on in the arts, because all of that affects your design,
Yes.
all that creativity and those
Yes.
juices. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
The sculpture, things I had read about. seeing the statue of David,
Yeah.
going to the Colosseum, the
Yeah.
Trevi Fountains, all of these things, you know,
I
the
know.
the, the Eiffel Tower, all
It's
of
just you have
the
to tell me. I
sculptures,
know.
the paintings.
And it just gets those juices flowing. They
Yes,
really do. It really.
yes, it does. And
Well,
my
we
father,
have.
there was
Oh.
a lot of talented. There were some black designers and clay modelers there at Ford, and
Uh
they
huh.
took me on and and mentored me. So it was up on
Oh.
their shoulders, that I stand. And
Isn't.
I think the thing that really kind of put me on the map
Mm-hmm.
during the time when I was at Ford, I always had wanted to make management or be a part of management because the team didn't look. I mean, it was just one sided, and I
Right.
just thought, coming from a female point of view, that I had something to offer. And
Okay.
I had so many meetings, but I never would get promoted into that.
Right.
And one time I went to an executive and I said, well, you know, I've designed so many cars that,
Mm-hmm.
Ford, I designed like the 89 Thunderbird, the 2000 Thunderbird, the Ford Mustang, all of these projects.
Right.
And I'm like, what is it going to take for me to get into management? And this one executive told me, he said, Emeline, you need to get on a hot project. And when the management can see your name with that product, that'll get you in management.
And it did.
Okay, so I would listen. I said, that's fine. But the problem is
Uh-huh.
I'm never selected to get on these hot projects. That was the problem.
Right.
So he told me that something's coming down the pipeline. So at one time, I remember we were having a staff meeting, and my
Oh,
manager had mentioned that there's a hot project, this Mustang. They're going to do the revamp of the 94 Mustang. And when he
mm-hmm.
said hot project, I beelined on it and said, I definitely would love to be on this project. And I think I have something to offer. One, coming from a female point of view, because they didn't have any female designers. So I could add that special touch. Women buy Mustangs.
We sure
We
do.
need to have different things designed so that they don't break a fingernail, they don't snag a stocking or rip a skirt.
That's
So
right.
I had something to offer, and I got selected to be on that. And
Oh,
from there, like I said, my fame to claim was the 94 Mustang. Although I
oh,
had designed several other cars before,
uh-huh.
but my name, Emeline King, is associated with designing the interior of the 1994 Mustang.
Good for you.
And the
What's that?
pinnacle was there's a exhibit, Detroit style, which incorporates car design from 1950 to 2020. I'm on that exhibit at the Detroit Institute of Art. And I think it was last week they had an event, in behalf of those who were on the exhibit.
Right.
At the event, my book hadn't too long been released. Mr. Edsel Ford was there. I walked over there. I autographed his copy of my book, introduced myself to him, told him about my dream.
Mm-hmm.
He was so elated that the book will be in the Ford archives.
Whoa. Look
Unbelievable.
it is unbelievable. But you know what you're really showing too? You have to go for your dreams.
You have to.
You
You
have
have
to.
to. That's why I tell everyone, reach, 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 reach for your dreams, and they can
Um,
go far beyond the clouds, because at one time, man took a foot on the moon, so
yeah.
you can reach far. And don't let anyone tell you what you can't become.
Oh,
The only one stopping you is yourself.
that's
And I
right.
always say to young people, young girls everywhere, if Emeline King, if she did it, you can too.
Come on now. I love it. I love it. Well, let's see. We have some comments. One is from our executive producer, and his name is Oliver. Just so happens to be my husband, but Oliver
Okay.
Wells. And Oliver says, "Hi, Emmeline. Welcome to the show. This is going to be a great show. Thank you, Oliver."
Thank
Then
you.
We have author, and I haven't just seen, hi, Art. Hi, Mary. And then he goes, it's a Merry Christmas. Hi, Art. And then we have Charles Radney. They're coming in.
Oh,
Charles,
wow.
Charles says,
Oh,
losing
losing
Margaret,
Margaret.
because they did.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't mean to do it in the middle of the show, but I just found out. Just kind of, it
Yes.
just hit me.
I
I'm sorry.
understand.
Okay. And then this one is from Richard,
Yes.
and I'm sorry about Margaret. So our
Richard,
condolences to the family.
yes.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
can see she was very important and touched so many lives. And
And just really a community. So this our community is grieving for her. It really
oh,
is.
wow.
And
Wow.
then it says it's been a bit. This is Art. It's another fan. It
Oh,
has been a
wow.
little while, Art. We haven't talked for a while. We have to talk, Art. Don't worry, we will. And then Gwen says, she said, love your story, especially how you refused to accept no
No.
along the way. You
Thank you.
did.
Thank
I
you, Gwendolyn.
know.
Thank you
I
very much.
Well, let me ask you this, because um, it had to. Well, I'm just gonna say this: when you're in a predominantly male career field, how does that? How does that? Is that hard to do? Is that how does it? How did that affect you as you knew you would have to know the same thing they did, same schools, that kind of thing,
Yes.
but you're kind of alone, wouldn't you be? And that,
Yes.
yeah, how do you?
Very much.
I was there. How do you
Um,
maneuver that?
like I said, I would bring my talents and my gifts to the table.
Okay.
And like I said, um, I just would always, and and like growing up, I always like studied hard.
Right.
I made use of my talents,
Right.
and so it can become competitive, but
Yeah.
like I said, I I knew that's what I was destined to be, and so I just would put my 100% in it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my other question would be, okay, your father worked for Ford, and
Yes.
so now did he? He had to encourage you. He had to
Oh
be
yes.
encouraging you
Yes.
to do that. He said, "Follow your dreams."
Follow my dreams, and um let's see, another thing that had occurred, because like I spent, it was 24.9 years working for the Ford Motor Company, and I had accomplished so much. But in
Um,
2008,
uh-huh.
I was given a company involuntary separation, and that hit me like a brick wall. But I have
Oh,
to share the story with you. When
okay.
they told me that, because I was thinking, oh, they're not going to get rid of. I'm the only female car designer. They're not going to get rid of me, but they did, and that kind of hurt. But
It
my
would, yeah.
father,
Uh-huh.
he's a pastor as well and minister. It took me almost 2 weeks to just let him know that they had let me go.
Right, right.
So he told me, ever since day one when I hired him in Ford, he told me, I want you to keep a record of every project, every accomplishment, everything that you've done at Ford, because one day it's going to come in handy. And I would do that. I just had everything, every achievement, every project that I worked on. So that day when I went up there and talked with my father, he
Uh-huh.
told me, after I told him Ford to let me go, he said, well, two things. No, three things. He said, did you keep a record of everything? I said, Dad, I kept a record of everything. Then he told me, he said, you have to forgive Ford. And I did. It took a while, but I did. And the
Right.
third thing he said, the Holy Spirit had revealed to him, now Emily can tell her story. And so in 2008, I started writing my book.
Oh.
I started writing my
Oh.
book. So it apparently, everything that I kept, the book just sort of wrote itself. So
Yeah.
I just told my history so people will know. They will
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And my book was released October of this year.
That's
So,
a couple
and the
months, 2 months
title,
ago.
the
Uh-huh.
title is, "What do you mean a black girl?" Let's see.
Oh.
Can't design cars.
I love
Emeline
it.
King. I'm trying to get it over there.
Yeah,
She did
she
it,
did it. She did it.
and it's the autobiography of the first African American female car designer. for Ford Motor Company.
Wow. Oh, that is. And think about, like you said, the book really wrote itself.
It wrote itself. So
I love it.
every accomplishment, every, it's just amazing.
It
So a
is.
person will be able to read my journey. And like I said, it not only recognizes me, but there were other men, black men at Ford Motor Company and the achievements that they made that I included. Oh,
Right.
it's just, I mean,
Oh.
it's phenomenal. I even found out my high school, I went to Cass Technical High School.
Hmm.
Out of there, they've had three car designers. The first was a gentleman by the name of Tucker. He did the Tucker mobile. It had like the headlight in the center. The second one was John DeLorean, and the third one is little old me, Emeline King.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean, I'm telling
I'm
you,
just, oh,
it's
that is
phenomenal. It's
impressive.
phenomenal. And
I
and
tell
and
you.
I have a couple of book signings. Well, I have a really big one next year. They're gave me a lifetime membership to the Mustang Club of Michigan. So
Oh,
next year they're going to have a museum opening of the Mustang Museum, and I'll be there speaking and also book signing. So it's been a blessing. It's been a beautiful journey.
this has been phenomenal.
It's
I'm gonna tell you,
phenomenal.
it is
Phenomenal.
phenomenal. I'm just sitting here listening as to how many I say, I mean, males and females need to hear this.
Yes, yes.
They
I
need
tell my
to hear
story.
this.
When I go around to different career days, I let them know that, when you see those cars driving up on the road,
Uh-huh.
there's a black lady and there's black men that had something to do with this.
But they don't always know that because that's
They
a
don't.
part of history we don't always talk about for whatever the
Mm.
reason. And unfortunately, it's one we need to talk about.
And it's
So,
due to exposure. Had my father not exposed me
right,
to these different things.
right.
Oh, wow.
Garth says,
Wow.
Emeline, a multi-talented car designer, an artist, a musician, a
Right,
singer, a Zumba
right,
instructor, a cook, a teacher,
right.
and many more. He is. I'm gonna
And
tell you, this.
and my
You have a fan.
classmate Garth, when I got to the school, he was such a strong influence and mentor for me. I tell everybody that people are bridges. And
Yeah.
bridges, when they come into your life, they help you cross over to reaching
Oh,
your dreams. And that's what Garth was to me. And I
oh, that's
appreciate that. I appreciate
oh.
that, Garth.
That's the. I tell you, Garth is a friend. That is for sure. And I was telling you that earlier. I said, when you have a friend in Garth, you have a friend.
You
So,
got a friend. Garth came up here. It was in the blizzard winter. I was celebrating my 50th birthday, and Garth was there
in a blizzard in the winter.
in the winter for my birthday, December 16th. And Garth came.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That
He's in
speaks.
my book too.
Is he in the book too? Oh.
Yes.
And he said, thank you. He said, thank you. Oh. And then we have another comment from Debbie Franklin.
Okay.
Oh, she said, she goes, oh, so sorry to be late. Why do you think Ford let you go? That's what she said.
Well, at the time they were saying they were doing some downsizing, and that probably was true. And I look at it, nothing personal, business is business. So
Right.
they had to do what they had to do, but it was like a springboard, because had they not, I wouldn't have been, wouldn't have written my book,
Right.
probably would
Right.
not have been on the Mary Wells show or whatever. So it was
Well,
a blessing.
we don't always know. We
No,
can't know the future. Let me just say
no,
that. And it's just sometimes things happen, because we know things happen for a reason. But usually like you said, down the road, it'll be a blessing.
it's a blessing. And
Isn't
I
that?
look at it as a springboard. You know how you get ready to dive off? Well,
Yeah.
Ford was like a springboard in order for me to dive off into this water of just
Yeah.
numerous opportunities. So it
Well,
was a good thing. Like
no, you said you're gonna have.
I had a marvelous career at Ford. And
Oh,
now things are just even, they're just blossoming. And when I
oh,
found out about the book going into the Ford archives,
isn't that something?
so
I
many
that is
years
that's
to
a
come,
blessing.
people can read about it. They'll know the story.
And they said, here's a comment. God had a plan, and I can't wait to read the book. Hi, Queen. I know, isn't that? And then you said there's a big book signing. You mentioned it. Is that going to be in Detroit or?
Oh, I've had several, but I had one with the Mustang Club.
Okay,
The
awesome.
Mustang Club. So they're booking me like all next year. I'm doing some book signings. So I've been doing a lot of book signings here,
Mhm.
with the some of the churches and other different organizations. So
Right. How
like I said,
nice. Because I know being a motivational speaker too, that
oh,
is
I
huge.
enjoy it. I enjoy encouraging. And I just enjoy it. Like when I was little, I would listen to my father speak, and and growing up in the church and everything, you would hear
Right,
all these great orators. Oh,
right.
phenomenal. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I know too, you mentioned your father said for you to forgive for it.
yes, I had
That
to.
he said,
I had
because
to.
he didn't want that bitter root to set
No,
up in you.
no.
And he said,
And
don't.
I even today I've spoken with a couple of former co-workers, and they were let go. And even today, they still holding that in. I
It's
said, you can't
real.
move forward.
No,
You can't move
no.
forward if you don't.
You have to let it go because and I think they're harboring it. That's what they're harboring at. Like you said, it's and that's that what they call a bitter root. They're
Yes,
still talking negatively about it. Anytime they're talking negatively about it, they haven't let it go.
that's true.
They
You have
haven't.
to let it go to move on. You
Yeah.
know,
But your dad's in the
it's a lot of
ministry.
stuff in front of that door, but you got to move that stuff aside to get through that door. So
Yeah, but
that's what I do.
now have any of the people you're speaking, have they written any books?
Not like mine.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying that because they're too focused on something. They're still looking back instead of looking
Hmm.
forward.
Yes,
That's what I'm trying to say. And you can tell that your continents, you're looking forward to what's happening with your life. And like you said, you had a really, I mean, 20 plus odd years at that with that
yes,
company.
yes.
That's a career. You know,
That's
it is.
it
So
is. It
I
is
think that's
beautiful.
really good. Oh, this is another one of our fans. Hi, Sheila. She said, "Hello, ladies." I can tell you, like I said when I just reading going over everything. Now, it says that you sing. You sing with
Oh,
the church, or you sing on
yes,
your.
I sing with the church. I sing at different events. I think I won a couple of singing contests before that they've had.
Uh
But
huh.
I like sing. I play instruments. Well, actually, I play like the saxophone, and I did that from a bet because when I was little, my father would play saxophone, and him and his jazz friends they would come over and they played, and I would listen by the vent as they're playing downstairs in the
Uh
basement.
huh.
So one day, my dad was up in the living room practicing on his horn, and he would call me Leanie Girl. And he said, I bet you can't play this horn, Leanie Girl. And I'm like, yes, I can. And then from there, I just start playing. So even today, I still, so,
Oh my God!
oh, yeah.
So you hadn't even taken any lessons or anything.
Nope. It was just a blessing and a gift.
It is. Whoa. You are definitely. That's why Gar said multi-talented. He's right. He's right. And he said, okay. He said, Emeline Emeline, Ford honors you. You are a great part of the Ford's industry, of Ford's history, and the African American history.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gar.
Yeah.
She
Thank
definitely
you.
has. Yes.
Thank you. Like I said, that book will go down many, many years ago, many years to come. They can come back and they can read this, and it'll be history.
It is. I'm glad you did that though, because I actually, my husband and I have a publishing company, and I just yesterday I was speaking to a group of just we belong to a Bidwest club,
Hmm.
And I couldn't stress to them, write it down.
Write
These
it down.
the stories that we're letting go, that we're not telling the next generation. We're not
Mm.
writing them down. Even if you tell them, they may or may not remember them. But if
Right.
you write it down and you put, as you have already, and put it in the book, this advice your dad was giving you, it is just really, really. I
I'm
mean,
telling you, I owe so much to him. And dad's 88.
is he really?
Hmm. And another thing, but this is all in my book.
Uh huh.
After my father, he retired from Ford, and he was like the only black fabrication specialist. My father, he had promised his first of all, he made a promise with my mother that
Mm-hmm.
we were going to, pay for the kids' education. That way, we did not want to have any of the children having to worry about loans. Okay.
Right. Right.
And he had told them, he said, once the kids get out of college, he said, I'm gonna buy your home. But no, that's not what the Holy Spirit wanted him to do. Dad was gonna build him a home. So my father asked me to design his house, and my cousin was the architect. And it's a huge, I'm saying it's a ranch style. I don't know if it's an acre and a quarter, but it is huge. And I was able to design his house, and
Oh
he
my
had it
goodness.
built. I mean,
Oh my
it
God.
is phenomenal. It's in the book.
Well, I can tell you, this is Clara Watson says, absolutely exciting, and you are a wonderful inspiration.
Thank you
That's
very
it.
much. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
this is something. So, okay, now you went from design because your design. Now you're into art, being an architect. So
Yeah, I mean, it was actually built, and my
that is
my
amazing. And with no background or anything,
no,
then you're just a natural. That's like you said, it's a gift. This is a
gift.
gift for
It's a
you.
gift.
That is amazing. I wouldn't even know where to start if it came to if it came to
Mm.
this. I would I would be like, okay, where do we start?
Right. Like I said,
Now?
so many
That some
doors have
things
opened up for me.
that is
It's just
amazing.
unbelievable.
That's amazing. I can't imagine starting from, well, he obviously had um you really like math. Math was your thing.
Math was my thing.
Uh,
No, I liked art. Just art. I mean, math.
okay.
It's the story my mother would say, because I would use my fingers to count. And she said, Emily, you don't have enough fingers and toes to solve these problems.
Right.
You got to memorize math, but
Hmm.
I had drafting. I took drafting, but if it's dealing with art, painting, sculpture,
Uh-huh.
you
Right.
know,
That was your
that's
thing.
my field. But
Because when you went to Europe, and there's a lot of tons of museums there,
oh,
is that because I know you went to the Louvre.
I went to the Louvre. I went to just about every museum that I would go to all the museums. I just
Uh-huh.
wanted to incorporate all of that European within me,
Right, right.
you know. So,
I know my favorite sculpture in the Louvre was Wing Victory.
oh, okay.
That was my favorite of
Beautiful.
everything. Even before, for those of you that don't know what Wing Victory is, it is the horse with the long wings and no head. And
Yes.
that's the one that's my
Yes.
favorite.
Yes.
When you're going up the stairs to the Mona Lisa,
Oh,
that's the one. I
that
would
Mona
never.
Lisa. I remember one time I stood in a long line. I mean, it was a long line. So when they opened the doors, I rushed on in there, got to the front. I'm looking at her picture. That picture has to be maybe it's small, maybe
It is small.
11 by. It's not 18 by 24,
No, it's not. It's
and it's
small.
small. And she has this faint. I don't know if it's a smile, snicker, or something. But just to hear about that, and then when I went for the Trevi fountains, and I took
Mhm.
my coins and I threw them in the Trevi fountains because I
Uh-huh.
said one day I'm gonna return back here
You are. Now, did you go to Venice?
to Venice. Oh yes, yes, yes. My mom, my dad flew my mom over. We went to Venice. Oh, with the the
the
the
gondolas.
gondolas. Oh, it
Hmm.
was just St. Marcos Mark Square. It was
Yeah,
just phenomenal.
it
I
is.
phenomenal.
I too. I was there. I was on a trip years ago where you went, believe it or not, 7 countries in 14 days. And no, and it's hard to believe that because you can't. I'm sure you can still do it now, but it was just one of those. You literally hit the ground running, and
Mm.
we landed at Heathrow, and then we just took off from there, and we went to the Eiffel Tower, just all over. But it was you got the hot spots of Europe. That's
Okay.
really what it was. It wasn't like you got to chance to see everything, but you got a little taste of it, you know.
Okay.
But I would tell anybody it was still worth it. I tell
Oh
it was still
yes,
worth it to
yes. I
go.
mean, Europe is just it's different.
It is.
It's just the way of
Mhm.
life. One thing I like doing is because I would when I go there I would just befriend people. I would. So a lot of times they would invite me into their homes, and it was one in particular, and they invited me to their home, but
Mhm.
they called it the ghetto. But
Yeah.
it was a beautiful area, not like the
Uh-huh.
ghetto, we know
What
about
we
ghetto.
think, uh-huh.
But
Yep.
this was a beautiful area.
Yep.
And I would go there and I would just meet the people. Um, I learned a little bit of Italian, a little bit of German, but
Oh. Did you go to Pisa?
yes, the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Mm-hmm. The Pisa.
I took a
Uh-huh.
bus down there, and the ride was like panic, because the buses they would drive like close to the edge.
I know.
But and then it's another building next to it. I think they call it like the wedding cake, and
Uh-huh.
the building actually is leaning.
I know.
And then I was daring. I went to Notre Dame,
Oh,
and
oh, did
they
you?
have the steps,
Uh-huh.
and I climbed all those steps. I don't know how many flights, but as you go up, it gets narrower and narrower.
Uh-huh.
So I
I
just took
tell
in
you.
every bit of history that I could.
Oh, that's because I really does get those creative juices going. It really does. And being in another country, just
Oh
that
yeah.
because you're in another culture,
Yes.
all of that affects your creativity because you're
Right.
looking, you're hearing, you're smelling different,
Everything.
aromas. Yeah,
Everything. And I
all of
wasn't
that
even
matters.
at Ford for like I was only there a year. And then at the end of the year, they were sending me off to Europe. I remember coming home telling my parents, Mom, I'm going to Italy.
Oh,
And they said, when? I said, less than 3 weeks.
oh, oh,
So,
that's I know. Well, then I'm sure your dad already knew that this is what they do. They do this with designers, so he probably was aware, of it happening or being able to be sent off and stuff.
I don't, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so because like they were like, you going where?
Oh.
I mean, Italy. This was the first. Then Germany, and then England.
So now, did you come back in between each of those trips? You came back home?
And yes,
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't
I
know if they
came.
sent you and then you went to those countries while you were
I went to
there.
the countries and I came back. And
Okay.
then when I was in England, they extended it, so it was almost like a good 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh, so you stayed for 2 years there.
yeah,
Oh, I'm thinking that you went in like for like a month and came back. So you lived there.
yeah. I actually lived there.
Good for you. That's so did you learn the language?
Well, and I had a little accent, but it was kind of funny because I would go out to dinner with some friends, and
Mhm.
they said, "Oh, Emily, you order today." And so once I go up to the counter and I start ordering my meals, oh, you're from America.
Oh,
Yeah. So
because they want you to practice.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh. I can understand
yeah.
that. I can understand. Well, I can
But it was
tell you this.
beautiful, and my
It is.
parents were able to come and visit. You know,
Okay. Uh-huh.
so that was just awesome.
Oh.
Went to see the Coliseum, and all of this is in the book.
Well, I can tell you, I haven't seen the Coliseum, but it is on my to do on the my live
Oh,
list. That's
yes.
definitely on my live list.
Yes.
I've got to see. That's one of those places. Because I used to teach history years ago. I
Oh,
was a history
wonderful.
teacher.
Wonderful.
So every place you're talking about, I've read about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that I want, that's one place I would like to see, is
Yes.
to see the
Beautiful.
Coliseum. All right. It'll be definitely there for me to see. Well, let me ask you this. What would you, what would you advise someone if they're interested in going to transportation or any career field?
First of all, I would say choose a good mentor,
Mm,
someone who knows and is experienced in that type of field, and that way they can give you a direct path. As I mentioned before, mentors are very important, and
they
they're
are.
like bridges. So if you're going into nursing, cling on to someone who's in that field, and
Right,
that way the road will be a little bit easier.
right,
You might get a little bumps in the road, but
right.
that path will be a little bit smoother from the experience and the exposure that you will receive from a mentor in that field. So it doesn't
That
matter what you're going into.
doesn't
And
matter.
like I
Get a
said,
good mentor.
I'm available, because it doesn't pay for me to have all this knowledge and just let it sit by the roadside. So
Right.
if I can of any way help or mentor someone who would be interested in going into the field of transportation design, I'm available.
Oh, well, it sounds like really what you're saying is number one, you have to believe in yourself.
Yes, you
That
have
no
to.
matter no matter. But the second thing, like you said, find a mentor. I have yet to find someone that you mentioned that you like to go into a field and someone say, "No, I'm not going to mentor you." I think people give that information to the next generation. They want
Yes.
to encourage them, but a lot of people don't ask.
No,
You
you
don't
got to
know.
move past that fear. Get past that fear and
Mm-hmm.
just take a step. It's just like when I was at that event in the DIA and Mr. Etzel Ford was there, and I saw him, standing up talking to someone, and I had my books. I could have just sat there and just missed that opportunity. And that's another thing that I state in my book. Opportunity is now. Grab it. What are you waiting for?
I
So
love it. I love it because
just
you're really telling people it is. It. I remember reading that in there. You said opportunity is now. Don't wait till tomorrow. It's
no,
now.
no. You have to do it now. You have to do it now. Because opportunity sometimes it doesn't wait. So it's like a train. You better hop on because it might be a long time for another train come through there.
Right. That's true. You don't know when another one's going, if at all.
No, no.
So that's it. Now let me ask you this: what advice would you give someone that wants to write a book?
Yes. And like I
What would
say,
you
it's
tell
so
someone?
important to write it down,
It is.
because history, but this is my journey, and it's our story,
Yeah.
you know, you know, her story,
It is.
her
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
instead of his story.
True.
It's her story.
Well, I know too. I tell people that we live as though we are promised tomorrow. Like there's a guarantee. But the
It's
truth of
not promise. No. Mary? Hmm. Let's see. Okay. Hmm. Let's see. Hmm. Hmm.
here I am.
Yes. I wonder what had happened. I'm like, okay.
No, you know what? I don't know. My laptop started glitching. I'm
Hmm.
sitting here and I'm going, I'm talking, and then I realize I'm talking to myself. So
Oh,
my
okay.
apologies. Thank you for hanging on. And we have another comment. We have Dumas Martin. Great show and
Oh,
information. Thank you, Dumas Martin
wonderful.
Jr.
Thank you.
Very another supporter. And then we have, he says, we still see, or you still saw, maybe they saw me. I was going, Oliver, Oliver. I don't know if he heard me. See, this is what people don't see. He's in another room. Our executive producer. He's in another
Okay.
room watching the show. So anyway, but I just want because I was here when you were saying that about having mentors, and really,
Yes.
I think you would agree you can have more than one mentor.
Oh, many. There's many bridges, different types of bridges.
I I like that about bridges. You
Hmm.
know that the gentleman, I think it was your supervisor, that said to you, that was a mentor telling you there's a big
Oh,
project
definitely.
coming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
this.
was an executive because
Okay,
he shared the information, and I had never was informed of that.
right.
Never was informed of that. But by him saying that, and I
Mhm.
told him that's nice to know, but a lot of times Emily's name is not on the list, you
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
I
Oh, they
always
won't.
said if
Mhm.
Muhammad wasn't coming down, I was going up to the.
Oh, in other words, we gonna make this. You gonna the way they say you gonna make this happen. You,
Yeah, yeah. And
um,
it was destiny. That was all in God's plan about the Mustang, because when they say Mustang, my name, my face. I mean, in the
um,
book, I show all the magazines, all the news, all the events, and I was like the face of the Mustang.
I love it.
Hmm.
Good for you. And I can't thank you enough for just battling through.
Thank you.
Because you're a role model, to so many that said that were probably saying you, like you said, your own teacher said you couldn't do it.
Oh, they
The
told
people that should have been telling you to do it
to
were
do it.
telling
No,
you, no, you can't do it.
they told me. I mean, I was like little, and my teacher was like, well, one of them was like 6 feet tall, and I'm looking up at him, and he's pointing down. He said, "No, you're not. Girls cannot draw cars. They cannot draw
Wow,
cars."
isn't that something? But see, the difference is you had a strong father.
Oh yes.
You had a strong, if
Hmm.
he really, I think, had a lot to do with who you are. He really,
Yes,
really,
definitely,
he
definitely.
didn't, he didn't limit you because of
No,
your
no,
gender.
no, he didn't. Because when he told me there are men who are behind this blue door who design cars, and he said every vehicle that you see coming up the road that had to come out of the mind of a
That's right.
transportation designer.
Woo!
And you know that's saying a mind is a terrible thing
Think the
to
ways.
waste.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
Isn't
if
that
you don't
something?
act up on it and use it wisely.
Mhm.
So it's so important that we instill into our young girls and young little boys that dreams, make your dreams reality, and they can become reality. First, believe in yourself that you can do this.
Mm.
And like I said, if I can be a help or a role model, and they can look back and they say, well, Emily King, if she did it, I can do it too. Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
yeah. We have a comment here from Elaine, and she says, Emeline King, I will share your information
Oh, wow.
with your being the first Black female designer with
Yes.
Ford. Learning
Yes.
something new on the Mary D Show is always,
Oh,
oh, that's
wonderful.
so sweet of you.
Wonderful.
Because I'll tell you, and then, but honestly, and I will say this in front of our supporters, this show is because of you guys. You guys make this show. I've been so blessed. Many of them is, and I'll use and let you know that you're here because of Garth. Garth is
Yes.
Garth introduced
Love
me to
of
you.
God.
Garth. So that's telling you our, mentoring and referring people and friendships, they mean so much.
So much.
They really do. They really, really do. Because I'm listening to you and you're affecting me, whether you don't. I know you may not. You're. that's, you may say, well, I just came to talk about this, but I'm listening to you, that there are things I need to work on, and I need to not, I'm not trusting myself enough,
Hmm.
or just little things. And I'm listening to you going, you got to go for it.
Go for it. And I'm still grabbing mentors. I am. I
I
still
know.
am. So,
Oh,
you
I
know,
know. I know. Yeah, it makes a difference. Well, before we be in the show, I don't want to end it. I like for you to hold your book up again, because we want to make sure that everyone sees the book. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to everybody get a copy, and I'm going to put the website up so you can. Here we go. Here we go. And that's where you can go to get your own copy of the book. And now, is this available on Amazon also?
also available on Amazon, Target, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart.
Woo!
Yeah, a lot.
Good for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Good for you.
And
Well,
I
I
was
can tell
blessed
you.
to have an excellent
Mhm.
publisher. It's
Okay.
Claire Alden Publications. And
Okay.
what's so beautiful about it, she was at the time she was only taking
Yep.
first time authors.
Yeah.
And she's just a beautiful Dr. Deandra Matthews.
Oh, all right. Well, I can tell you, I can't wait to read the book. I'm gonna be
Thank
honest.
you very
I'm gonna
much.
go on today and order it. I'm gonna go. That's why I was asking, is it on Amazon? But we have another comment before we end the show in this excellent
Oh,
show.
wow.
Oh, thank you, Glenn.
Oh,
I'm so proud of you. And it says,
thank you, Gwendolyn.
Emeline, you are such. Ooh, ooh, ooh. My window shrunk up.
A mover and a shaker, and you
There you
rock,
go.
girl. Congratulations again. Gotta jump off for a meeting show.
Okay. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. And
And
thank
then,
you, Mary.
oh, you're
I
welcome.
mean,
Thank you.
thank
Welcome.
you.
Uh
You're
huh.
my
It is.
bridge.
Oh, well, I'm sure we're going to be in touch. I can tell you that.
Yes.
We are. And we have another comment from Dumas Martin Jr. He says, uh, is it Mavix Community Outreach Girls,
Oh,
Gorgeous, Irwindale Racing Ladies, IE. So that's the name of it.
oh,
There's another
wonderful.
association, yes. And
Okay.
this is another one called Sophia. Looks like Sophia said V Tech VAW
R.tech.
dot tech. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you all for sharing this information, because nobody knows everything.
No,
Nobody
no,
knows
we don't. We
everything.
don't.
And anytime you can share this information with the community, I'm always, as many of you already know, I do try to,
Yes.
as much as possible, email out and let people know what's going on, because
Yes.
they can't participate if they don't know.
That is so true.
They try to just let them know that this is available, and we do appreciate it. So I'd like to thank you for coming on the show
Thank
today.
you, Mary.
Oh, and please come back again. I mean that.
Oh,
Please come back.
I would love to. I would
Oh,
love to.
good. And tell your dad. I know I'm just.
Yes.
He is, just tell him we said hello. You said he's 88. Did you tell me he's?
88. Reverend Ernest O. King. He's been pastoring for 45 years.
Are you serious? Look.
Mhm. So
I
it was,
just.
it was just beautiful. And to have him there at that event at the Detroit Institute of Art.
Mhm.
So you can go on dia.org and look at the exhibit, which is Detroit Styles, car design in the Motor City,
Oh,
19 from 1950 to 2020, and I'm a part
yeah.
of that exhibit.
Oh, oh,
Wow!
congratulations, congratulations. Well, thank you again, and
Thank you,
we will
Mary.
definitely be in touch, and after this, for sure, for sure. That without a doubt. All right,
All right,
ladies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we
much love,
thank you.
much love.
Oh, nothing but love, nothing but love.
Yes, and thank you, Garth.
Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for today. Wow, my apologies for the glitch. What can I tell you? I sat here and I was watching the computer glitching. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but I hope you didn't. because I'm sitting here going, I hope they don't see that, but you never know. But I can tell you right now, we will be back again next week. But we want to thank Emeline King, this wonderful lady. I'm just sitting here, literally, I feel like I'm just at her feet, absorbing information from her and the things her dad told her, and all those things to get her where she is today. She is a powerful, powerful lady, and we thank her for coming on the show today. We'll see you next Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas to everyone. Since it will be after Christmas by the time we see you, we want to make sure the studio was Christmassy for you. So we'll see you next Monday. God bless each and every one of you, and I love you. Bye bye.